Myself, keerthana Anilkumar, Assistant Professor in Department of Commerce. Here, today I'm going to discuss about the topic contract. Actually, contract means it's a contract agreement enforceable by law is known as contract. So, for a valid contract, it requires lawful consideration, legal formalities, lawful consideration, agreement, legal relationship between the parties. These are the legal main elements of a valid contract. And here we are mainly going to discuss about the discharge of contract. Discharge means actually the termination. Termination means termination of contracts or relationship between the parties is known as discharge. So the discharge, there are too many options for discharging or terminating the contractual relationship between the parties. The first one is discharge by performance. Based on the performance, the contract can be discharged as actual performance and attempted performance. In the case of actual performance, when both the parties completed their performance or after completing both the parties' performance. Here the both the party means normally in contract there are two parties, promiser and promisee. The person who makes promise is known as, or the person who makes offer is known as offerer or promiser. The offerer and promiser are same in the case of contract. And the promisee and offeree are same person. The person to whom the proposal or the person to whom the offer is made is known as offeree or promisee. So, in the case of actual performance, when both these parties, which means offerer and offeree, completing their performance, we can say is that the contract was completed by performing their actual performance. So, this is known as actual performance or actual termination. Here, both the parties are completed their performance and the contract comes to an end. So, and the next one is attempted performance. Attempted performance is slightly different. Here, the promiser requests to perform the contract to the promisee, but the promisee is not ready to perform or the promisee refuses to perform the contract. That is known as attempted performance. In law, attempted performance is also known as tender. Okay, so the promiser requested to perform the contract and the promiser refuses to accept the contract. So this is attempted performance. So here also the contract will become terminated or the contractual relationship comes to an end. And the next heading is discharge by agreement. Based on the agreement, the contract is firstly classified as novation. Novation means, actually the word novation means substitution, substituting, which means substituting a new contract on behalf of an old contract. They are just rectifying or introducing a new contract on for changing or for adjusting with the old contract maybe of some reason. So it's a substitution of new contract on the old contract. Then next one is recession. Recession means actually cancellation. When both the parties are cancelled their contract with their mutual consent, we can say that it's recession. And next one is alteration. Alteration means in the case of contract there are so many conditions, terms and conditions in the contract. So if the parties change one or more terms or conditions in the contract with their mutual consent, we can say that it's alteration. So alteration means just changing the terms or conditions of the contract. And the next one is remission. Remission means acceptance of lesser performance. Acceptance of lesser performance than what was due under the contract. So, performing only the lesser performance. Performing the lesser performance is known as remission. And the next one is waiver. Waiver means, actually it means a deliberate abandonment or internal relinquishment is known as waiver. And the last one is merger. Merger means it's a merging of two different rights. That two different right means inferior right and superior right. So merging the inferior right of a person with a superior right is known as merger. And next one is discharge by lapse of time. Sometimes the contract may be discharged by lapse of time. The time is a very important factor in the case of contract. In some cases, the contract will be agreed based on the time. So, in that case, after completing that time, after getting the end of at the end of that time, the contract will be discharged by the lapse of time. So, after the end of time, after the lapse of time, the parties cannot be entered into a contract or they cannot be perform that contract. The contract will be automatically terminated on the basis of lapse of time. The last one is next one is discharge by operation of law, which means like death, insolvency, just like that. If the promiser is died or in the death of the promiser, the contract will be terminated. So it is not possible. It's impossible to perform the contract. So it will be terminated. And insolvency is also just like that. In the case of insolvency of the promiser, it is not possible to perform the contract by the parties. And also in the case of unauthorized alteration, so if any one of these parties, promiser or promisee, makes any unauthorized alteration in the contract will be terminated, or it will discharged by the opposite party. And discharge by impossibility of performance. There are few different cases based on the impossibility of performance. The first one is impossibility known to the parties at the time of making of contract. In few cases, the impossibility of performing the contract may be known to both the parties. Both the party means promisor and promisee. But some cases, the impossibility unknown to the parties at the time of contract. Unknown means the promisor and promisee are not aware and they are unknown to the impossibility, unknown about the impossibility of performing that contract. And next one is impossibility known to the promiser alone. Sometimes the promiser has already know what will happen to the promise contract, which means the impossibility known only to the promiser. The promisee is not aware about that, but the promiser has know that the contract will be impossible in the future dates. And the last one is impossibility which arises subsequent to the formation of contract. Actually, this is also known as supervening impossibility, which means the impossibility arises after making the contract. First, today, if for example, if we make a contract on this day, and in the future date, if we get an impossibility due to this contract, the contract will be we can say that it's a supervening impossibility. It is known as impossibility which arises subsequent to the formation of contract. Okay, then there are some remedies for the discharge of contract, like specific performance. Sometimes specific performance is enough for the contract. The court will order for that specific performance, and sometimes court will order for injunction order. And there are many other options and many other orders will be given by the court, or many other remedies will be taken based on the discharge of contract. So these are the topics based on the discharge of contract. And thank you.